Today we are diving into one of the most powerful, most unforgettable stories ever told. It's a tale about a brilliant king, a family doomed from the start, and a prophecy that has haunted Western culture for literally thousands of years. This is the tragedy of Oedipus. So at the very heart of this myth is this incredible, gripping paradox. I mean, think about it. The whole thing plays out like a detective story. The only problem is, the detective, in his relentless hunt for the truth, ends up discovering that the criminal he's been hunting this whole time is actually himself. And that is the mystery we are going to unravel right now. Okay, so our story kicks off in the middle of a total crisis. The great city of Thebes is suffering, and I mean really suffering. A terrible plague has hit. It's affecting everything. The crops won't grow, the livestock are dying, and people can't have children. So, who do the citizens turn to? Their king, the man who saved them once before, their hero, Oedipus.
And you know what? Oedipus is every bit the hero they think he is. He's smart, he's confident, he's decisive, and he genuinely cares about his people. He stands before them and makes this powerful promise: I will find out what's causing this, and I will put an end to it. He swears it.
So, what does a king in ancient Greece do when he's facing a disaster like this? Well, you don't just guess. You seek guidance from the gods. Oedipus sends his brother-in-law, Creon, to the most sacred, most trusted source of wisdom in the entire ancient world, the Oracle of Apollo at Delphi.
Creon comes back with a bombshell. The plague? It's a punishment from the gods. Turns out the city of Thebes is hiding the killer of its former king, a man named Laius. And the solution is, on the surface, pretty straightforward. Find the murderer, punish him, and the city will be healed. And just like that, Oedipus the king becomes Oedipus the detective.
Oedipus doesn't hesitate for a second. He gets right to it, and he does it publicly. He puts a curse on the killer, wherever he is, promising him a life of utter misery and banishment. Now this is where the story gets so good, because it's a perfect example of dramatic irony. The audience knows something the character doesn't, and what we know is that he has no idea he's just announced his own doom.
To really understand how a hero, a man this smart, could be so completely blind to who he really is, we have to rewind the clock, way back, because the trap that Oedipus is walking right into was set years, even decades, before he ever set foot in Thebes.
So here's the quick and dirty version of Oedipus's life story. It's just this chain of insane events. He was born a prince of Thebes, but his parents abandoned him on a mountain because of a terrifying prophecy. Then he gets rescued and raised as a prince in a different kingdom, Corinth. As a young man, he hears his own awful prophecy, so he runs away to escape it. But on his journey, he gets into some road rage and kills a man at a crossroads. And then he winds up in Thebes, where his intelligence wins him the throne and the hand of the recently widowed queen, Jocasta. And what was that prophecy that sent him running? It was one of pure, absolute horror. The oracle told him he was destined to kill his own father and marry his own mother. Now, thinking the king and queen of Corinth were his real parents, he did what any of us would do. He got as far away as he possibly could to protect them. The tragedy, of course, is that every single step he took to escape his fate was actually a step that led him directly into its arms.
Before he got to Thebes, Oedipus ran into the Sphinx, this monster who was terrorizing the city. She would ask everyone this riddle, and if they got it wrong, she'd kill them. But Oedipus, with that brilliant mind of his, he solves it instantly. The answer is man, who crawls as a baby, walks as an adult, and uses a cane in old age. His intelligence is what saves Thebes and makes him their king. It's the very thing that defines his greatness.
All right, let's jump back to the present day in Thebes. Oedipus's investigation is going absolutely nowhere. He's getting desperate, even paranoid, and starts accusing people around him of a conspiracy. But then, a messenger shows up from his old home, Corinth, with some news that, at first, seems like the best news in the world. And here, you can just see the massive canyon between what Oedipus believes his reality is and what the actual truth is. The messenger tells him his father, Polybus, has died of old age. Oedipus is relieved. He thinks, see, the prophecy was wrong. But the hidden truth about who his parents really are, who that man at the crossroads was, and who his wife is, well, it's a complete nightmare he can't even begin to imagine.
Trying to make Oedipus feel better, the messenger drops this absolute bombshell. Oedipus was adopted. And not only that, the messenger himself was the shepherd who was given a baby with his ankles pinned together on a mountainside, and he's the one who gave that baby to the king of Corinth. This is the first crack.
the first piece of evidence that just shatters Oedipus's entire world.
And the final, horrifying piece of the puzzle comes from an old shepherd. And it turns out he's the only guy who survived the attack at the crossroads, and he's the very same guy who was ordered to leave the baby to die all those years ago. Oedipus forces him to talk, and he finally confesses everything. The child he was supposed to kill was the son of King Laius and Queen Jocasta.
And just like that, it all comes crashing down. The prophecies, every last one of them have come true. Oedipus, the brilliant man who could solve any riddle, has finally solved the mystery of himself. The hero is the villain. The savior of the city is the source of its plague.
The fallout from this revelation is just swift and brutal. Jocasta, realizing the truth, goes inside and hangs herself. When Oedipus finds her body, in his horror and agony, he takes the pins from her dress and plunges them into his own eyes, blinding himself. He says he can no longer bear to look at the world he's created. And then he is exiled from Thebes, a blind wanderer, fulfilling the very curse he himself proclaimed.
The fact that we are still talking about this story, written by the playwright Sophocles all the way back around 429 BC, is just incredible. It speaks to its raw power. For over 2,500 years, this story has gripped audiences with its themes of fate, pride, and the often catastrophic search for the truth.
And in the 20th century, the myth got a whole new lease on life through psychology. I'm sure you've heard of it. Sigmund Freud coined the term Oedipus complex. He basically suggested that the story has stuck around for so long because it taps into this deep, unconscious, and universal conflict a son feels with his father over his mother.
But you know, the version we all know from Sophocles, it actually isn't the only one out there. Even the ancient Greeks told this story in different ways. For example, in Homer's telling, which is earlier, Oedipus actually keeps his throne. In another version, by Euripides, Jocasta lives on for a while. It's a great reminder that even these foundational myths were never really set in stone. They were constantly being retold and reimagined.
And so, that leaves us with the story's ultimate and honestly pretty unsettling question. Was Oedipus just a pawn, a victim of an inescapable destiny that the gods had all mapped out for him? Or was it his own character? His pride, his anger, his relentless need to know the truth at any cost that actually led to his downfall. That right there is the tragedy and the genius of Oedipus the King.